Hi everyone, welcome to my channel and my kitchen. And today I'm going to be talking about the stages of menopause, perimenopause, menopause and postmenopause. Let's break it down step by step while I make a nourishing chickpea curry. Okay, so you may have heard about the term menopause, and most people have, because menopause is when your periods end. It's actually, the word menopause is cessation of your menses, so your periods. And you mark it by when you've had 12 months without a period. So it's what we call a retrospective. You're looking back on yourself about when your periods have stopped. So when you've had 12 months without a period, that means that you have gone through your menopause. And for most women, it's around the age of 51. But there are variabilities. For example, women of South Asian origin, like myself, we go through it a little bit earlier, maybe around 47. For those women maybe who've not had children as well, they go through it a couple of years earlier. Smokers, also a couple of years earlier. And also women of other ethnic origins like Afro-Caribbean, Hispanic, they will also go through menopause a little bit earlier. Okay, just frying off the onions here. Oops, and I forgot to add these in, but I'll just add these in too. And let's just get them a little bit browned up. Menopause, I often think, is the most challenging phase for many women, because it's when symptoms really start to become, sort of impact their lives, and often it may coincide with them, sort of rising in their careers. Maybe they've got young children, or maybe you've got, you elderly parents that you're looking after as well. So often there's a massive juggle going on around this time. And then your hormones are going sort of all over the place as well, sort of crazy, sort of in that way. And many women do think that they're going crazy or they're getting early Alzheimer's, but this is really hormonal shifts that are going on. This is normal, it is a phase in our lives, and I think it's very much worsened by the stress of day-to-day living in modern life these days. So you have perimenopause and menopause, the periods stop. When your periods stop, your symptoms don't just stop. That phase going on beyond is postmenopause, and we have other things to sort of worry about around this time. There's an increased risk of osteoporosis, there's an increased risk of heart disease, dementia, cancers as we age. And so it's important to look after ourselves and take care of our bones, our brain, and our heart. Because we often live about sort of 30 to 40 years, or 30 to 40% of our lives post-menopause. I'm going to leave this to cook. I'm just going to add a blob of yogurt, and I'm going to leave this to cook. So whilst that's simmering away, I want to talk a little bit about postmenopause, because 1 in 3 women are at risk of osteoporosis, which is weakened, sort of brittle bones. With the decline in our hormones, especially estrogen, our heart disease risk increases to match men. And so we really need to take care at this point. So things that you can do, I'm a great advocate of HRT, hormone replacement therapy. It will really help with the acute symptoms that you may be experiencing, like the hot flushes, the joint pains, insomnia. But also what it will do is help look after you for the future, your bones, your heart, your brain. And the other things are looking out for your diet. That's why we're making this chickpea curry, because it's really useful and helpful for women going through menopause and perimenopause and postmenopause. Exercise is important, sort of strength training, which maybe you haven't been sort of told about when you were younger. And just really also the sense of community, sort of talking to other women, sharing the experience is really, really key. And I think in postmenopause, the other thing I want to say is that about 9% of women will still carry on having hot flushes up until the age of 60. They're called the super flashes. So don't just think that your symptoms will just stop because your periods have stopped. And I think that's often a myth, that many people think that, okay, the worst part is over. There is actually a time when, a period of time that you may experience symptoms. Now, I don't want this to sound like doom and gloom, okay? That's not the reason for me sort of explaining this. It's really sort of to prepare you, to educate you, help you understand the different phases, understand what's going on in your body, understand that hormones are powerful chemical messengers that affect your mood, your energy, your appetite, as well as your reproductive cycle. So that's why we need to take care of ourselves sooner rather than later. It can be a great time for many women to sort of find their voices, regain their confidence, do the things that they want to do, like me, cooking and talking to you. So I think it's about, maybe a transitional time when you can sort of bloom, blossom, without sounding cheesy. I think it's a great time to maybe do the things that you've been holding back, wanting to do, once you sort of start to manage your symptoms and get in control. So we're going to let this cook for a moment, and then I'll be back to show you the finishing touches. So let's just finish off the chickpea curry with a little bit of coriander and garam masala like my mum has taught me. And chickpeas are great for women in this stage of life, in menopause and perimenopause, because they contain isoflavones, which weakly mimic estrogen, so they can help with some of the symptoms, but also loads of fiber and plant sterols to help with your cholesterol, and protein, and we need to get as much protein as we can in these days, to maintain our muscle, to help with our strength, our balance, and our metabolism. So I hope you've enjoyed watching me cook and try and explain to you about menopause and perimenopause and postmenopause. If you've got any questions or comments, just pop them below, and don't forget to subscribe.